Hello, quick video on how to do the glute bridge, which is an exercise to strengthen the glutes. So you start in this position, feet hip width apart, and what you do is you roll, you imagine the pelvis rolling towards you. So initially what's going to happen is that the spine is going to go down towards the floor. You're going to feel the front of the abs engaging there. And so you roll the pelvis towards you and then you keep going, and you can imagine the spine almost like a fern that kind of curls up on itself from this initial movement and rolling up segment by segment up the back until you feel a stretch at the front of the hips there. And then you do the opposite movement, so you unravel the spine back down on the floor and back down, and that's one rep. So it's really interesting to have this idea of tucking the pelvis first, rolling the spine up in a kind of quite controlled and slow movement, and then back down again. The reason why I like to start with this initial tuck is that as you do this, you are lengthening the muscles in the back, and of course a muscle that is lengthening isn't contracting, and therefore you try and remove the work from this area of the back to force the glutes to have to fire. So if you were to just do this, you could very well be doing it from the low back muscles rather than the glutes, whereas if you introduce this movement first, you can't fire the low back muscles, and therefore all of the work goes into the glutes, and it's a little bit more specific to the glutes there. So that's why I like this variation, it just makes it a little bit more specific. Another variation that you can use is to make it a little bit more difficult is to only do it on one leg. So if you straighten one leg and you keep obviously the other one as it was, still do the tuck and the roll, and then segment by segment fold the spine, but here you keep this one, this hip going, and it lifts the leg up and it makes my left hip work a whole lot harder. And then again, unravel the spine down, take a minute to think about the pelvic tilt, and off you go again, segment by segment, until you feel the stretch up the front of the hip, and then down. So this one is significantly more difficult, but it's a nice variation if you find that both legs is a bit too easy. Another tweak that you can bring is that if you find that either the hamstrings or the quads are working too much or too little, you can tweak it by moving the foot. So basically, if you bring the foot further away from you, the hamstrings are going to work more and the quads less. And so you can have a go at this, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it immediately. So this is really loading the hamstrings there. Whereas if you bring the feet towards you a bit closer, then you'll notice that the quads are firing a bit more, and it gives a bit of a break on the hamstrings. So if you find that it's a bit too heavy on one group or the other, or if you want to shift the work that the legs are doing, you can add this variation. If you're quite happy either way, then it doesn't really matter. Leave it somewhere in a nice neutral position. If you're more interested in the glutes working, then yeah, forget about the feet position too much and just focus on that kind of tuck and then lift. And if you want to make it more difficult, one leg straight, that follows that movement when you go into the glute bridge there. And that's your glute bridge.